I ride the brake until the top of the hill.
Nick Lutsko is so cool.
You're asking me to swallow a pill that is bigger than my body.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Discographer. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Nick Lutsko, specifically regarding his recent vinyl campaign success. Not only that, but we will be going over his discography from the last 10 years and pointing out some good tunes that we're going to listen to here with Jack.
Hello.
Now, the recent success of More Songs on the Computer vinyl campaign on bandcamp.com, the campaign closed on January 2nd, 784% funded. So that means that it reached its field goal 7 times, which is very good.
Impressive.
Yeah, it is quite impressive. It's very close to what his last campaign was with the previous record, but this is like a follow-up record to that, which is quite interesting to see that such similar records could do so well, seeing as they are mostly in the comedy music genre. The record in question being More Songs on the Computer and the original Songs on the Computer. They're very different, but the second one has just recently had this massive success, funding $480,407 altogether, which is, amazing when the original goal was only $6,000 to fund just for people to be able to have the record. And I wonder, what do you think of this in terms of what you know about music, which is very little?
I think that's harsh. No, I think it's a great campaign. I think it shows that smaller artists do get a lot of support.
Yeah.
Clearly there is a demand for lesser known artists, and it's great to see someone ultimately being able to live out their dream.
Yeah, exactly. There was a recent stream that he did on, I think it was a few days after New Year's, so probably near the 2nd for us in the UK, and it was a 6-hour long stream.
Mm-hmm.
6 hours of him playing basically his entire discography and going over it just live for tons of people to watch. I mean, there was quite a few hundred people watching, and I thought, as a fun idea for today, we would go over Nick's discography and listen to a few of the bangers that appear.
Just got one point I'd say about that. I think that is, it shows like the level he goes to, how impressive that fundraiser was, raising so much more than he needed to. But equally, he puts in the time, like you said about the live stream. I think, especially if you're a smaller musician, having that strong connection with your fans ultimately probably help contribute to that. And
I think he sold, I don't know, like at least 100 records, or maybe 100 vinyls whilst he was live. It could be less, but from what I watched, which was the entire thing, I think that was the case. I would quickly, before we really get into the thick of it, just like to say, if you want to go check out Nick, it's at Nick Lutsko on Twitter, Bandcamp and Spotify. It's all just his name, and hopefully, maybe checking him out, you might find something you like, but who knows. What do you know about Nick Lutsko, Jack?
Okay, put me on the spot here.
Yeah,
I know that some of his albums are more comedy aimed, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I brought you on because Jack knows absolutely nothing about Nick. All I've sort of told him about is that, he has 2 very serious musical albums, and in the last 2 years during lockdown, Nick has just been making these comedy songs, which are equally as good, but a completely different genre. Apart from that, do you know anything else about Nick Lutsko?
Not to call now.
All right. Well, that's to be expected, yeah. I want to show you some of his album covers and his single covers. So, this is his first album cover. Thoughts?
A lot going on.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
I do like it.
So that's the Etc. album cover. The second one is the second album, which is Swords.
Is that second one across or down?
The Clown.
I like it.
Yeah, it's simple but very effective. I think it's a very interesting album cover. Now, the ones at the bottom are his 2 singles, which is Spineless and Grinning Like a Barracuda. I would like you to guess which is which.
It's the Barracuda one on the right.
Yeah. You never have guessed. You never have guessed. The other 2 are, I can't remember the artist's name, but they commissioned the art for the other 2 albums, which are the more comedy oriented ones.
Yeah.
And you can tell they're quite similar in art style, but that was the first one, that's the second one. More stuff going on. You've got Dan Bongino, and The Men in the Tunnels, Gremlins, Brendan Fraser, you know, all sorts, all over the place. It's very, very wild, one might even say. What are your thoughts and expectations going into the albums? What are you expecting from his normal music compared to the comedy music?
Alright, well, like you say, you got me on because I know nothing about him. So
Yeah.
in that regard, my expectations are on the floor.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm aware, it's just
In terms of
some
quality.
random guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But equally, you have bigged it up a lot to me. So I've got reasonable expectations.
Reasonable expectations, yeah. I mean,
But equally, for his campaign, like you talked about at the start, to do that well, clearly he's quite good. So
yeah. I want to start with us listening to All Shook Up. Now, the video isn't super important for this. It's just someone throwing hot dogs at Nick. But I would like you to... It'll come through on the headphones. I would like you just to listen to it, and we'll try and get some of the reaction clips.
yeah,
All right, here we go.
I love the hot dogs.
You love the
They
hot
add a lot
dogs.
to the video.
They add a huge amount, more than you'd expect, you know?
It's good so far, though.
She was laughing in her sleep. I was all shook up.
So that was All Shook Up.
That was good.
Yeah?
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it is... It's one of his more popular songs.
So it was weird. It kind of, in one regard, sounded really familiar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like it.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I want to ask you a quick question
Yep.
about it. Can you guess where Nick's from in America?
Philadelphia?
No. There was a lyric in the song. I just thought maybe you'd have
there?
picked up on it.
I may have missed it.
It was very brief, but it's Tennessee. I thought maybe small, but I just thought I'd ask you because
I
it's
do
funny.
remember hearing that now. Didn't pick up on it.
Next up, I was going to ask your opinions on just the album in general, but we haven't really
Yeah.
listened to enough music from that album. I really did just want to show All Shook Up.
Yeah.
So we move on, but the album has a lot of other good tracks on it. It has a song called By and By, Predator. I quite like a song in it called Dreaming of Medusa, but there's another really good one in it called Thanks to Uncle Stacy.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you're listening keenly, you may have heard right at the beginning, easing into the intro. Next up, we're going to play Grinning Like a Barracuda. So I hope you're ready for this. So this was a couple of years
Ready.
after Etc. Etc. came out in 2015. This came out in 2018, and there wasn't tons of musical stuff going on in between. But there was tons of stuff going on behind the scenes as Nick's sort of like touring around the place and stuff like that. But this is Grinning Like a Barracuda. So that was the Grinning Like a Barracuda music video.
I've heard that before.
You have heard that before?
I don't know where or when, but I've 100% heard that before.
Well, that is very interesting.
And I do like that.
You do like that?
I do.
What did you think of the music video?
I thought it was interesting.
If you could sum it up in one word, what word would you use?
Unique?
I think he's going to just be weird.
Yeah.
He does that with a lot of his stuff, where he's trying to make things basically as weird as possible
I got
based
that
on
from
the
the hot
concept.
dogs.
Exactly, but it's very enjoyable in some aspects.
Mm.
Now, this is your first time meeting Greasy Rick, who is... We don't really know if he's Nick or his brother or someone else, but this guy, the guy with the brown hair, is a very common recurring character in Nick's work. His name's Greasy Rick.
Greasy Rick.
So,
Sounds very similar to Nick.
yeah. What are your thoughts on the look?
I think it's good. I mean-
I would use the word wild.
Well, yeah, not good, but like,
It
works.
it's good. It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that was Grinning Like a Barracuda. And I think it's quite the musical spectacle. I think it does a lot of interesting stuff with just on a musical level with the guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think and the music video is obviously you got the actual barracudas, and the actual song tells a story that the music video doesn't tell. It tells a completely different story, which is an interesting way of doing it. That I also quite like. Next up, we're going to play a song from Swords. Now, I had a hard time deciding on what song to pick, but I decided the best one would just be to play the Sideshow music video and just sort of leave it at that. I was planning on just playing basically the whole album because it's all so good, but you can't really if I did that, we'd be here all day. So let's start this up. I hope you're prepared for this. Immediately you can tell the production value is much higher.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just casually drinking gasoline. As you do. So this time you can tell Greasy is like the protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really liking the music video.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like, there's tons of stuff going on. It's
Yeah.
You got the birds just chilling. This is one of my favourite bits of the music video, personally.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff going on here that is just like interesting. So this is the clown scene.
I have so many questions.
And the wrestling scene, if you guys know.
So many questions.
Yeah. Trust me, whatever your expectations are, it's about to just go mad. Just like, if you think it's been like crazy already,
Yeah.
it's about to get like mental.
Hang on a second.
What are you thinking?
Weird.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah?
yeah? Yeah. Fish,
As you do.
as you do. And we finally see Nick in his own video. What?
Sorry, no, had me scared for a second there.
So that was the Sideshow music video.
There was a lot going on, wasn't there?
There was a fair bit going on, yeah.
like just a little bit.
Just a wee bit. So, what were your thoughts?
I'll be honest, I was almost like distracted from the music with trying to keep up with what I was watching. It was like,
Yeah.
so in terms of actual lyric, like the tune, definitely heard. And I was
Yeah.
a fan of the tune. I genuinely can't speak too much from the lyrics because I was
Yeah.
barely paying attention because there were
Lots of
clowns and there were blue men wrestling and then eating brains and
Yeah. I mean,
a puppet gave birth to a fish.
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's a barracuda, but it doesn't quite
That's it.
look like a barracuda,
There's like
does it?
so many jokes you can make about giving birth to a fish, but I'm not
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to.
Maybe for another time.
Maybe for another time.
Maybe for another time. But I would give it personally 5 Greasies out of 5 Greasy Ricks.
5 Greasy Ricks out of 5 Greasy Ricks.
Ditto.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a very impressive music video, and
It was. I see what you meant at the beginning about how you can say it's a much higher production value.
yeah. I mean, you can immediately tell like both this and Grinning Like a Barracuda have like actual teams and what it feels like there's an actual team behind this, and the quality of them making it out of sets and stuff. Just in general, the stuff going on. I mean, needless to say, there is some stuff going on.
Absolutely.
And it's a wild ride.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
quite enjoy the wild ride. I think you're a bit
enjoy it?
confused about the wild ride.
I am a bit confused about the Wild Wild Ride, but that's not to say I don't enjoy it. But I'm somewhere in between.
You might be a little bit confused because the music video does link quite slightly to the actual lyrics of the song, and you were not getting the lyrics of the song because of how weird it was.
Yeah.
So-
I think if I listened to it a few more times, I
Yeah.
think I'd pay less attention to the music video because I'd be expecting it and be able to pay more attention to the lyrics and maybe
Yeah.
get it more.
Yeah, because there is a lyric in the song which is like, your ignorance must be bliss. And obviously Greasy has no idea what's going on. That's why he's like terrified of everything. He has no understanding of what's going on around him. But so do you. You have no idea of what's going on.
I am basically Greasy.
Your ignorance must be bliss.
It must be.
Yes. I was going to show more songs from Swords, but I think that sort of speaks for itself in a lot of the ways that the quality is and the actual musical talent. I did want to emphasize more of the musical talent here,
Yeah.
but I think you get it.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
you get it. So overall, that is just like that's one of the main singles from Swords. What would you say overall would be your Swords idea. So what do you think the idea of Swords is?
I'm not sure. I'm not too sure I can speak on what I think the idea for it is, just because
you have no idea.
No, not because I have no idea, but because
you haven't seen the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be hard for me, and plus it would be hard for me to say what I think was going through Nick's mind, given that like this is the first day that I'm hearing his stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So if I was more of a like yourself, more of a long-term fan, I might be able to hazard a guess.
Yeah. But Swords has, I think it's about 10 songs on the record. It might be 11 or 12. That might be too many as well. It might be like 7 or 8. But they all begin with S. I think I can name about half of the songs off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's a very good record. There is a couple of other music videos from the record, but I want to sort of push on and further on the next part of Nick's career, which was which is another music video, but it wasn't part of the 2019 release of Swords. It came out, I think, early 2020 or very late 2019, in that sort of gap.
Yeah.
And that's a single called Spineless.
Okay.
And I think that just basically based on the way the video works, you will naturally focus on the lyrics more.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. So are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, let's go right into it. Okay, so that was the Spineless music video, Jack.
Yes.
Yeah, so initial thoughts.
Different vibe.
Different, yeah.
I've got a very different vibe from that than I have from the other songs.
Yeah.
Again, not a negative. Still liked it.
Yeah.
Still good. You said there was less to this music video. I'm still trying to process the music video.
I mean, slightly less. I mean, you can tell by the last one was ultra widescreen, right? This one is a completely different aspect ratio. Yeah. It's in black and white. The whole music video is sort of like, obviously it's about this devil and the mime, and sort of maybe the devil manipulating the mime, and maybe it's like devil's treating the mime not so right, maybe, but then there's the other guy just sitting around doing nothing whilst that's going on. I wanted to ask, what did you think of the underlying ideals that this song promotes, if you did spot them at all?
I think they're good.
Well, let me explain a little clearer. To me, it seems like the video and the song together, they're sort of saying that people will just sit there whilst other people suffer, and they'll close their eyes, their eyelids, comfort them while others suffer, and whatnot. So there's sort of this passivity, and it's spineless, and people don't, you need to sort of stand up and say what you think is right, give your opinion out there. But I was wondering what you think about that sort of idea.
Oh, I mean, based on that, I think different circumstances can be unique.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might look like you're choosing the easy option, let's say, and being spineless by not saying something about something.
Yeah.
But equally, some people might not be in a position to do that.
Of course.
Like we say, circumstance. But in general, if there isn't a reason for you to not come forward about something or with something, then yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's an interesting thing to sort of think about.
I think it's kind of like a moral question almost.
Yeah.
Could open a big topic.
Which is, interesting. And I want to take a moment to sort of just talk on Nick so far.
Yeah.
And sort of what you might, preconceptions you might have going into these last two songs.
I like it.
You like it?
And him. I think...
Yeah.
I like how you wouldn't necessarily tell that he's and this is no disrespect to him, but a smaller musician.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'd say the same himself. He's not Justin Bieber, and probably doesn't want to be. But judging by the visual, you can't tell that.
Yeah.
Like the production value, I don't want to say professionalism, but like he clearly knows what he's doing. He clearly has a passion for it.
Yeah.
It's not half-hearted.
Yeah.
And so I'd say, on Nick, that is a big positive.
Yeah. And the type of music, how would you sort of classify what you've heard so far?
I'm honestly not sure I could.
Would you say... I think it's sort of, sort of indie rock in places, it's got a lot of different musicians and not different musicians, but different musical instruments. There's a lot of saxophone in there.
I think he's done something that is, I'd personally say, very hard to do, and I don't think you can label it a genre. I don't think it falls under any one category.
One specifically, you don't.
Ordinarily can become a bad thing because that can mean it's a bit all over the place and not like well thought out and well pulled off ultimately. But I don't think that's the case. I think it is well thought out. It's good.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that he's been able to have something that perhaps doesn't fit a category by its traditional rules, if you like. Yeah. While still having it as good music.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you remember, sort of after late 2019, after the beginning of 2020, something happened in the first few months of 2020, and that I think has affected a lot of people. And now we shall not name the thing, just for logical reasons. I don't want this to be censored.
He's talking about coronavirus.
Oh, but I don't. Basically, Nick's work became a little more, let's say, at home based because he couldn't go and work in studios. I'm assuming on such a regular basis.
Yeah.
So we're gonna listen to a song from the next album that he made. Well, now the album didn't come out all together. The songs were released on Twitter individually throughout the year as stuff in real life was happening, where he sort of had a little idea or joke about that thing and he wanted to make a little song about it.
Okay.
But they became very popular and they obviously made the 2 vinyls and the 2 vinyl campaigns that were very successful from this.
Yeah.
The first song we're going to listen to is 52 seconds long, and this was the first one that he did at the very beginning of that first album, at the very beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to listen to first, and it's called I Want to Be at the RNC.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes. Don't we all?
I want to be at the RNC. I want to see Patricia McCloskey.
So, that was I Want to Be at the RNC.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. I'd say. I guess I perhaps more like. I don't want to say the meaning behind it, because it's not behind the actual song, but the fact that you can tell, like you said, probably was unable to get to the studio or a studio.
Yeah.
Working on very limited resources in terms of what he's able to do.
Yeah.
Whereas some smaller musicians may have given up, and I'm sure a lot did throughout lockdown and COVID. Sorry to mention it again. But clearly he didn't, and clearly whether that be for his passion for music or whatever, I like the fact that you can tell he's down to his bare bones,
Yeah, it's completely different creatively. And I want to point out again that the aspect ratio is completely different on the video.
You do love aspect ratio.
No, because this is what I notice. Yeah. So all of the others have slightly different widescreen, ultra widescreen, the normal sort of Philly one that fills most screens with the normal monitor and TV aspect ratios.
Yeah.
However, this one has the Twitter aspect ratio, which is not quite TikTok because it's not as long as the TikTok one, but it's not quite normal because it's not as wide. So it's very bocular, but it's also not perfectly boxed. I just find it very interesting because as you go through all of the music videos, all the different stuff, you notice these things.
Yes.
And I do find it quite funny. But as a basis, so from his previous music, obviously this is of a different kind of. This is like comedy music.
Yeah.
So, what do you notice the difference?
Yeah, you can definitely notice the difference. I'd say. I mean, again, but then again, I've been able to notice the difference between all of them. I don't think any two songs have been alike. And so when I say I can notice the difference.
But artistically?
Yeah, artistically, definitely, I think.
Yeah. Because it's like there's some massive change between for me personally, when you look at it, with Spineless and the Nick Lutsko character on Twitter and all of the music that comes from more songs on the computer and songs on the computer, it is just like a different world that you go into, and it really has created its own mythology. Where as the songs go on, there's just more stuff going on that all links together.
Yeah.
Now, I can't show you every single song on the computer, every single More song on the computer. However, I can show you the last one on More Songs on the Computer, which is called 2021 Has Been So Fun. So there is almost a 2-year difference. There is you'll see.
Yeah.
There's almost a 2-year difference between the one you just heard and the end of this one.
Okay.
So it's going to play. This one's a full-length song based on that.
Okay. How long are we talking?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
It will be that, and it's an interesting song. It really takes you through the year, and at the end of the song, it will play a bunch of different like lines and stuff from his from the rest of the songs, or from More Songs on the Computer, and some of the main ones. You won't recognise them, but you might just get a little gist for what the song is from that.
Okay.
So that was 2021 Has Been So Fun.
Yes.
And obviously the song talks about a lot of stuff that happened in the year. And there's a lot of stuff behind them. It's very much from, obviously Nick's American, so it has that American side to it, whereas a lot of the stuff we maybe wouldn't even be like acquainted with. Like we wouldn't even know what's going on. Because the sort of the overdose on ivermectin, I'm not sure if you would know, but there was one point where a bunch of people were like, this horse tranquilizer, this horse stuff. Yeah. You know what? I think I would quite like some. And then a bunch of people started taking it, and then a bunch of people started overdosing on it. At one point, it's kind of like the Tide Pod thing, if you remember.
I think there's a teaching point in that. I think like don't drink horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, no. I think it was. It's either something for horse. It might have been something else for horses. It might not have been a tranquilizer, but you get the idea.
I get the gist.
And a lot of stuff like that in there. And at the end, you can see sort of bits from how he made other music videos in the same albums. Yeah. So it's him standing in front of green screens for a lot of it. He has this thing where every single video he does, he has to be really sweaty. So that thing that he has there, covering him with that is what I think he's doing. He's just making himself really sweaty just to make it look like he's really intense for the video. But I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So that was. I'm going to talk about Songs on the Computer and More Songs on the Computer as just one for the ease of this, because we've only listened to 2 songs from both and one from each. The style is obviously artistically completely different from his previous work.
Yeah.
And I think it's equally as interesting. I think you can tell that he spent a lot more time on the other stuff, and he's been playing those songs for a long time and things like that. But you can also tell that he's not he is also putting effort into these new little videos, and whatnot. And I think there's a quality to that, and I think it speaks on his person.
Well, I guess for the 2020 and 2021 songs, and I'm only guessing, I'm not 100% sure what the rules were in America.
Yeah.
But perhaps as well as having a passion for music and wanting to keep it going, obviously financially, I guess it would have helped him as well.
Yeah.
But also if he was in lockdowns and stuff, music could have been that escape for him.
A good distraction.
To take his mind off of eternal doom, essentially.
Yeah, I'm sure it was positive for him in many ways.
What in Gremlin hell?
But I say we have been going for a while now. So I think we'll call it there.
That's a wrap.
For that, that's more than the end of Nick's discography from the Discographer. But we'll be around for next time. So I'll see y'all later.
Love you, Nick.
The men in the tunnels are coming. The men in the tunnels are coming. The men in the tunnels are coming. The men in the tunnels are coming.